What's up, people? So today I'm at Wittenberg University of Applied Sciences, and I'm with Mr.
Where I do.
And you're graduating today, right? How do you feel?
Funny enough, I actually feel very relieved because I've been here since 2020, so I'm happy that I'm finally graduating. So it's really amazing.
So I made a video about schooling year as an international student, but I feel it's best to ask people who have gone through the same process to tell you more about it. So, Mr. Okwe, can you tell me things you wish you knew before you came here to study in the Netherlands? Just 2 or 3.
Okay, so I think the first one is I think the language can be a barrier as well because there are some roles, there are some courses you actually come here for that's at a disadvantage. But say if you're in the IT space, I think it's easier for you to actually assimilate on actually get into the system. So I think that's one. And then the other is I think you also have to know people who are here. It actually helps you to actually get into the system well as well. If you have friends who are staying here, or just know somebody who is here, and then they actually tell you how to go about the process of integrating fully into the system. Because I know the Dutch, they stick to themselves. So if you have people here already, it's easier for you to actually just get into the system fully. So I think those are the 2 things I would tell you to do.
Okay, so can you also tell me your struggles as a student? International student, we are being specific now.
Okay. So obviously there are some perks that you won't enjoy because of, say for example now, I know for example the transportation system is very expensive. That's number 1. Right? I think they said it's even the second most expensive, in the world. Yeah, that's something I just recently read. So just know that it's you don't get some perks because you are an international student. But if you are a local student, if you are a Dutch person, there are some perks you would enjoy. But for international students, you don't get those discounts. Yeah. That's one. And then also you also have to there's a limited amount of hours you can work as a student, say all these odd jobs. So that also can be detrimental to you as well, because obviously you need to pay your bills and all those kind of things. So you have a limited amount of hours you can work. So I think that's also another thing that was very worrisome for us as international students. Okay. But then we basically we passed the hurdle, and we thank God hey, he was here.
Now look at you now. And last one, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this one, but I'm going to ask you, what was your culture shock? I mean, you studied back in Nigeria, and now you're in Netherlands to study. So, what was the culture shock? Come on.
Let me see. This might not. Let me just say. So, I know that the walls are very thin. I don't know if that makes any sense, but in Nigeria we build with concrete, but here, blessing are plywood, and they build their houses. So you can literally hear the person next door, and I'm like, what is going on here? Do you understand? So that's one thing. Another thing is these people, they are so calm. They are so easygoing. You understand? In Nigeria now, they go the honk Here everybody's so calm. Everybody's going about their lives. And then another thing is that they are very individualistic here. In Nigeria, everybody's very communal. Everybody's together. Everybody's looking after each other. But it seems here everybody's just going about their own lives, and there's no communal there's no togetherness, if I would say that. So I think those are the 2 cultural shocks that I experienced here in the Netherlands.
You didn't talk about the weather, huh?
The weather, obviously. I mean, obviously I've been to Europe before, so I kind of know how it is. But yes. And then the fact that during summer you see that it's still bright at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria when it's 6 p.m. it's already dark. So that's another thing for sure, another culture shock.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Okwe. I mean, I just bumped in on him in less than 2 minutes. I bumped in on him and he still granted the interview, and you did not do very well. You did very well now, Mr. Okwe. You did. Guys, comment. You did do very well. But thank you so much, Mr. Okwe. Better things ahead, right? Better things. And I've heard you telling someone you're going back home to have some Nigerian delicacy. What will be the first Nigerian food you go for when you go home?
Amala, gbegiri, and ewedu.
Correct. Drop knuckle. Thank you, Mr. Okwe. Alright guys, I'm going to meet the next person, but bye. Cheers. Hey guys, I'm here with Morgan, and he's from the United States of America, and I'm going to be asking him the same questions that I already asked Mr. Okwe. Hey Morgan, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
So the first question I'm going to ask you is, how do you feel?
A lot of emotions, but at the end of the day, definitely a surreal moment. Excited, but also nervous, but also just thrilled to be done with the journey that Wittenberg presented to me.
Yeah. And before we started this conversation, you talked about coming during the COVID period.
Yeah.
Must have been a challenging time, yeah?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenging time. From America, their lockdowns were a whole lot different than the Netherlands, so I definitely had to adjust to that. And then with COVID presenting the online classroom, that was a huge difference for me. I never sat in a classroom for 6 hours, but it was on the computer screen. Yeah, so that was very difficult. Yeah.
So now to the questions. What were the things you wish you knew before you came to the Netherlands as an international student to study?
100% the weather. Definitely that. I've never seen such bipolar weather in my life. But you know, when I go through life, I accept everything as it is, and I guess the weather was definitely one of them. I would say too, in America, most of us have cars by the age of 16 through 18, but here public transportation is huge. So there's a lot of deadlines you have to make when it comes to public commuting, and I would say that was definitely one of them. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is going to be your struggles as an international student. What were the things you also struggled with?
So some struggles were definitely being away from home and adjusting at a rapid rate, but also being kind of secluded in the fact that I didn't know Dutch. This wasn't my home at the end of the day, and I just there was times where it was just really tough. Who do I turn to for support? Even though I had a foundation of support here, it was still times where I just felt very isolated. Yeah.
And the last question. Yeah. What was your culture shock as an American in the Netherlands?
One culture shock is everything closes early, so they care about their employees, which is a good thing. Yeah. And then the extreme amount of bikes and the extreme amount of people biking in horrible weather. Yeah. But definitely was a culture shock. And yeah, I would say that was about it. Yeah, that really shocked me, yeah.
And I think I have one more question. Yeah, so what will you do now after your master's? Are you going to go for a vacation, or you just want to chill, or will you go for your PhD?
That is a good question. Definitely go on vacation. Mm-hmm. Definitely want to relax a little bit. And who knows? Maybe school is in my future. And I think I never really have much planned. I just kind of go for it and just see what happens. And I'm a very adventurous person, so always open to learning new things. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Morgan. Thank you for sharing your experience. Bye. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. So guys, I'm with someone and his name is Mr. Unserious. And you just graduated today, so I'm going to be asking you 3 questions. So the first one is, what were the things you wish you knew before you came into the country to study as an international student?
I wish I knew like the language barrier would be so difficult. Like it's not easy mixing around. Like in Netherlands, yes, like it's Dutch that they speak actually. So most times, yeah, you can manage in terms of when you go to work.
Was that your main struggle, the language?
Yeah. Although this is not like my struggle actually, but for some people, most especially like those are like extroverts. They don't really see like people like often. So a lot of people, they actually complain like. But if you are somebody like me, you can manage or you can cope.
Okay, so that was things you wish you knew. So what were your struggles during this your master's program? I mean, you're done. How do you even feel? That should have been the first question. How do you feel?
I'm so happy honestly because I had issues with my supervisor. It was to be like 2 years, it got to like 3 years.
Oh no.
And 3 years is actually like bachelor's. So I'm like, why don't you just give me bachelor's instead of my master's and give me combination of both bachelor's and master's actually.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so the last question would be your culture shock. What were the things that, as in when you saw them, you're like, it shocked me? What were those things that shocked you?
Culture shock actually. Like then I was actually living like in the shared apartment, so sometimes I like check up on my housemate. I'll be like, oh, how far? I've not seen you for like maybe 2 days. Are you coming home? That kind of stuff. So most of the time they felt like strange, like it's awkward actually to check up on them, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so now I don't just check up on any of them.
I think where you're coming from is what we have back in Nigeria. Like we have this communal way of living, right? Yeah. But I think people tend to define their relationship and their friendship. So for the fact someone is your housemate here in the Netherlands does not mean that you're friends. So you were seeing them as friends, but they were not seeing you as friends.
Let me check up on this person.
I can imagine the first time the person said, okay.
Are you coming home? That kind of stuff. Like it's crazy, honestly.
Sorry.
They felt awkward. Like.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Unserious. Yeah, have a nice day.
All right.
So guys, I hope you've been able to learn 1 or 2 things from the people I talked with. If there's anything I learned from them is that, of course, when you come to the country, you have to consider the language. Apart from considering the language, you also have to consider that it's quite lonely. So do well to integrate as much as you can. And this language too can also help you integrate. And another thing you should also consider is learning how to bike. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, I hope to do this more on the streets. Like and comment if you liked this video. And see you in my next one. Bye.